All right, so get this. You've got creators using AI to write songs and design graphics, even whole comic books. But who actually owns the copyright?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Is it you, the creator?
Right.
The AI company?
It's a huge gray area.
Total legal gray area. And with AI becoming such a big part of the creative process, this whole copyright thing is, well, it's getting really complicated.
It really is. And I think what we're seeing is this, kind of collision of creativity and technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's forcing us to kind of rethink some pretty fundamental questions about what it even means to be an author in this digital age.
Absolutely. And you shared with me a lawyer's take on a recent Copyright Office report about all this. And let me tell you, it was eye-opening.
It's a fascinating report.
It really is.
The Copyright Office is making it clear that AI can't hold a copyright.
Okay.
But what does that mean for you, the human artist, using AI tools?
Right.
That's where things get interesting.
Okay, so no robot overlords claiming ownership of our artistic masterpieces. Got it. But then where does that leave the human artist using AI as part of their process?
Well, the heart of copyright law is this idea of authorship, and it's always been about humans.
It's okay.
So just feeding prompts to an AI, like giving it a list of instructions doesn't automatically make you the author.
So even if I spent hours crafting the perfect prompt, the AI's output isn't automatically mine.
Right.
I mean, with AI getting so good these days, couldn't you argue that like a really detailed prompt is basically like creating the work yourself?
That's where the Copyright Office uses this analogy of photography.
Okay.
Think about setting up a shot. You control the framing, the lighting, maybe even how your subject is posing.
Mm-hmm.
But then something unexpected happens. Maybe a bird flies into the frame, or your subject, makes a funny face.
Right.
You had some control, but not over everything.
Okay, I'm getting it. So the AI is like that unpredictable element, the photobomber in my perfectly planned picture.
Exactly. And the Copyright Office is saying those unpredictable choices the AI makes, those creative sparks, they're not really coming from you, the human prompter.
So no matter how much blood, sweat, and tears I pour into crafting those prompts, it's just not enough.
Well, there's a legal term for that, sweat of the brow.
Okay.
And the Copyright Office says effort alone doesn't cut it.
Okay.
Copyright needs creative expression.
Got it.
Those unique decisions that shape the final work, not just the time and energy you put in.
So this is where I start to get a little nervous.
Okay.
What about artists who use AI for brainstorming or generating initial ideas?
Sure.
Like a musician using AI to come up with melodies or lyrics, is that a no-go?
Not at all.
Okay.
Using AI as a tool to help your creative process is perfectly fine.
Okay.
In fact, they even specifically mention musicians using AI in this way.
Okay.
Think of it like using Photoshop to edit a photo.
Uh-huh.
The tool itself doesn't own the copyright of the image.
So AI can be like a collaborator, bouncing ideas around, but not the ghostwriter taking all the credit.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, good.
And this distinction is crucial when it comes to actually enforcing your copyright.
Yay.
Imagine creating a hit song using AI only to find out you can't prove you own it.
Oh.
That could lead to some major legal and financial headaches.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
So is there a and Y scenario where using AI lets you copyright something? What if I feed the AI my own creative work, like some old song sketches or poems, and it generates something new based on that?
Now we're getting into trickier territory.
Okay.
The Copyright Office calls this expressive inputs,
Okay.
and it's a potential gray area.
Okay.
If you can show that you fed the AI your own copyrighted work,
Uh-huh.
and what the AI created is clearly based on that, you might be able to claim copyright.
So I could take, say, a poem I wrote, feed it into the AI, and then potentially copyright the song it spits out.
Potentially.
That seems almost too good to be true.
There's a catch.
Okay, I figured.
You need to clearly demonstrate how your human creativity is reflected in the final product.
Uh-huh.
The Copyright Office wants to see your original work shining through in the AI's output.
So it can't just be vaguely inspired by my work. It has to have like a direct link.
Exactly. And that's where good record keeping is crucial.
Okay.
Keep track of your original work, the prompts you used, how you interacted with the AI, anything that proves your creative input.
Got it.
The more evidence you have, the stronger your case will be.
You mentioned earlier a case where someone actually copyrighted a comic book that used AI-generated images.
Right.
How did they manage that?
This is a fascinating one.
Yeah.
All the individual images were AI generated,
Wow.
but the human creator chose how to arrange those images. added the dialogue, and crafted the overall narrative. The Copyright Office said that human touch, the way they shaped the story, that's what made them the author.
So it's not just about what you feed into the AI, it's also about how you use what it gives you.
Right.
It sounds like that human touch is what really tips the scales.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
That element of selecting, arranging, and guiding the overall creative direction, that's what the Copyright Office is looking for.
When we've got AI as a tool, which seems pretty straightforward.
Right.
And then this expressive inputs loophole, which is definitely more nuanced.
Right.
Is there anything else creators need to be aware of as they navigate this AI frontier?
Well, it's important to remember that this is still very much a developing area of law.
Sure.
The Copyright Office is still figuring things out, and their guidelines could shift as AI technology keeps evolving.
So you're saying buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride.
It is a wild ride.
Any chance they'll just create completely new laws just for AI and copyright?
That's actually something they addressed directly in their report.
Yeah. They basically said, hold your horses, everyone. We've got this covered.
Okay, but why?
Well, their reasoning is that existing copyright law is flexible enough to adapt to new technologies.
They also pointed out that AI companies are already benefiting from, significant investment and market opportunities, so they're not exactly powerless in this situation.
It sounds like they're trying to walk this tightrope, between protecting human creativity and encouraging AI innovation.
That's a great way to put it.
But honestly, all of this legal talk makes my head spin a little.
Sure.
This isn't just some abstract debate, right?
No.
There are real consequences for creators if they don't understand these AI copyright issues.
Absolutely. We're talking about livelihoods, reputations, the future of creative industries here.
Well, let's get real. What are the actual stakes? What could go wrong if a creator doesn't wrap their head around this stuff?
Imagine this. You're a musician who poured your heart and soul into a song that used AI in some way. Maybe you used AI to generate a melody or come up with some lyrics.
Okay.
You release the song, it starts getting radio play. Maybe it even gets picked up for a movie soundtrack.
Okay. So far, so good, living the dream.
Right. But then out of nowhere, you get slapped with a cease and desist letter from another artist or even a major record label.
Oh.
They claim your song is too similar to one of theirs. They say it infringes on their copyright.
Yeah.
And they're demanding royalties or threatening a lawsuit.
Oof. That sounds like a nightmare scenario.
It can be.
Right.
And if you can't prove you own the copyright to your song, that you were truly the author, you could be in serious legal trouble.
Wow.
You could lose the rights to your song, have to pay damages, and even face serious damage to your reputation.
So all that creative energy, all that hard work could basically go down the drain because you didn't understand the rules of the game.
Exactly. That's why it's so crucial for creators to educate themselves about these issues.
Right.
Don't just assume that because you used AI, you can't own the copyright.
Got it.
Understand the guidelines, document your process, and if you're unsure about anything, consult with a lawyer who specializes in intellectual property.
Speaking of legal experts, we were digging into that analysis by an IP lawyer.
Right.
And they brought up something called authorship by adoption.
Yeah.
It sounded a little, sketchy to me.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
So it was one of the arguments presented to the Copyright Office.
Okay.
The idea is that even if a human doesn't create the AI-generated content directly, they could still claim authorship by kind of adopting it.
Okay.
The argument is that the human is making a creative choice by selecting and using that specific AI output from a bunch of possibilities.
So if the AI spits out 10 different melodies and I pick the one I like best, that makes me the author.
Well, the Copyright Office didn't buy it.
Okay.
They flat out rejected this authorship by adoption argument.
Good.
Their stance is that just picking from a set of AI-generated options doesn't really show the level of control and originality that's needed for copyright protection.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. At least they're trying to draw some clearer lines in the sand, even if the whole landscape is still a little hazy.
Yeah.
So what about cases where a human creator uses AI more like a tool, to enhance or modify their own original work?
That's a great question, and it kind of brings us back to what we were discussing about expressive inputs. If a human artist creates something original, a song, a drawing, a piece of writing, and then uses AI to build upon that work or modify it in some way, they might be able to copyright the final product.
Okay.
But again, it all hinges on demonstrating that human element of creative expression.
So it's like using Photoshop to touch up a photograph.
Right.
Adobe doesn't suddenly own your picture.
Right.
So if I use AI to add some cool sound effects to my original song, that doesn't mean the AI company owns the copyright.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to clearly explain what you did, what creative choices you made that shapes the final work.
Right.
The Copyright Office is looking for evidence of those decisions beyond just clicking a button or typing in a prompt.
It makes me think about how copyright law has had to adapt to new technologies throughout history.
Absolutely.
Like photography was a huge one, right?
Huge. When photography first emerged, there were massive debates about whether photos could even be copyrighted.
Really?
Oh, yeah. After all, a camera is a machine. It's not a human hand creating the image.
So the argument was that a photo just captures reality as it is, right?
Exactly. But the courts eventually ruled that photographs are copyrightable because the photographer makes creative decisions, composing the shot, choosing the lighting, and so on.
Ah, so we've been down this road before. This whole AI thing isn't totally unprecedented.
Right. The legal system has a history of grappling with these big questions about authorship and originality as new technologies come along.
It's almost like, what's the next photography?
Right.
What's the next internet that's going to force us to re-examine these basic ideas of authorship and ownership?
That's a great question. Who knows what incredible new art forms are waiting to be discovered and how those will challenge our existing legal frameworks.
Okay, back to the AI frontier.
Sure.
We've talked about the risks, the legal gray areas, the need for documentation, but what about the potential upside? What are the benefits for creators who use AI responsibly and ethically?
Well, AI tools can definitely be a powerful way to enhance creativity and productivity.
Right.
They can help artists overcome creative blocks, explore new ideas, and even create works that wouldn't have been possible without AI assistance.
So it's not all doom and gloom. AI can actually be a force for good in the creative world.
Absolutely. The key is approaching AI with a clear understanding of its limitations and potential pitfalls, and most importantly, remembering that it's a tool, not a replacement for human creativity.
And of course, always respecting the rights of other creators.
Without question, plagiarism is still plagiarism, even if you're using AI to do it.
So no using AI to create the next chart-topping hit by, shall we say, borrowing heavily from your favorite artist.
Definitely not advisable, but used ethically and responsibly. AI can be a fantastic way to push creative boundaries and bring new and exciting works into the world.
Okay, feeling a little more optimistic now, but this topic raises a bigger, more philosophical question, don't you think?
It absolutely does. This isn't just about legal definitions. This is about what it means to be creative, to be an author, in a world where the line between human and machine is getting blurrier all the time.
What does it even mean to be the author of something when AI is involved?
Yeah. That's a question that philosophers, legal scholars, and artists will be debating for years to come, and there are no easy answers.
It's like we're standing at the very beginning of a whole new era of creativity, and we're still figuring out the rules of the game as we go.
Right.
It's exciting, but also a little daunting.
It is. And I think it's important to remember that these questions aren't just theoretical.
Yeah.
They have real-world consequences for creators, businesses, and society as a whole.
So we've covered the legal stuff, the ethical considerations, and even dipped our toes into the philosophical deep end. What else did our legal eagle have to say about this whole AI copyright saga?
Well, he brought up another interesting point about how some people are arguing that we need entirely new laws to deal with AI and copyright. They're calling for a kind of sui generis protection, specifically for AI-generated works.
Sui generis? Sounds pretty fancy. What does that even mean?
It basically means of its own kind, or unique.
Okay.
So instead of trying to fit AI into existing copyright frameworks, some people believe we need a whole new set of legal rules designed specifically for AI creations.
So separate but equal copyright laws for robots? Interesting idea.
Yeah, the argument is that AI is so fundamentally different from any previous technology that it needs its own legal framework. But the Copyright Office, at least for now, has pushed back on that idea.
So they're sticking with the adapt and evolve approach rather than a total overhaul.
Exactly.
Why?
Well, creating entirely new laws is a complex and time-consuming process.
Oh, yeah.
It can take years, even decades, to get new legislation passed and implemented.
The government bureaucracy, the ultimate creativity killer.
Oh, that's true. But beyond the logistical challenges, the Copyright Office argues that existing copyright law, with its focus on human authorship and creative expression, is still relevant and adaptable enough to handle the challenges of AI.
So they're basically saying, we've got the tools we just need to learn how to use them in this new landscape.
Exactly. They believe that focusing on the human element of creativity, even when AI is involved, is still the best way to protect the rights of creators and encourage innovation.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got the Copyright Office holding the line on human authorship.
Right.
But then you've got this growing movement for new AI-specific laws.
Uh,
What does all this mean for the future of creativity? Where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And on that note, I think we need to take a deep breath and gather our thoughts before tackling that one. We'll be right back with more insights and maybe even a few predictions about the future of AI and copyright. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle that million-dollar question. What does the future hold for creativity in the age of AI?
It's a tough one.
It is.
It's a question with no easy answers.
Right.
Plenty of fascinating possibilities.
Absolutely. After all that legal deep diving, I think it's time to zoom out a little bit and think about the big picture.
Sure.
If you're a creator out there in the world, trying to make sense of all this, what are the key takeaways?
Yeah.
What do you actually need to know to navigate this wild new world of AI-assisted art?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the Copyright Office is laser-focused on human creativity.
Okay.
AI can be an amazing tool, a powerful collaborator even, but in the eyes of the law, it's not the creator.
So no matter how fancy the AI, how many bells and whistles it has,
Right.
it all comes back to your human choices, your unique creative input.
Exactly.
That's where your copyright protection lies.
That's where it is.
Okay, so let's get practical. What are some concrete tips for creators out there who want to use AI responsibly and ethically while also protecting their rights?
Sure, here are a few things to keep in mind. First, remember that AI is a collaborator, not a replacement.
Okay.
Use it to enhance your ideas, to break through those creative blocks, to explore new possibilities.
Right.
But don't rely on it to do the heavy lifting of creative expression.
Got it.
Those choices, you make those unique decisions. Those are what will ultimately give you copyright protection.
So using AI to get the creative juices flowing is great, but expecting it to write a whole song, compose a symphony, or paint a masterpiece for you, that's crossing a line?
Right. And second, document everything.
Okay.
Keep detailed records of your creative process, the prompts you feed into the AI,
Okay.
how you interact with it, and how you change or build upon what it generates.
Right.
This documentation could be crucial if you ever need to prove you're the author.
It's like keeping a lab notebook for your creative experiment.
Precisely. And speaking of experiments, don't be afraid to get creative with how you use AI.
Okay.
The Copyright Office gave that comic book creator copyright because they used AI-generated images in a new and original way to tell a story.
Right. So think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
How can you combine your unique human creativity with the power of AI to create something truly innovative and groundbreaking?
It's like that Grammy-winning country artist Randy Travis who used AI to help him sing again after he lost some of his speech function.
Oh, wow.
It shows that AI isn't just about replacing human abilities. It can also be about augmenting them and making entirely new forms of creative expression possible.
It's a great example, and as AI keeps evolving, I think we'll see even more incredible examples of how it can push the boundaries of what's possible in art and creativity.
It's exciting to think about, but it also raises a lot of big questions that go way beyond just copyright.
Sure.
What are some of those key questions that we as a society need to be grappling with as AI becomes more and more integrated into our creative lives?
I think one of the biggest questions is how do we balance the rights of human creators with the incredible potential of AI to generate new and innovative work?
Yeah.
Do we need to completely rethink our legal frameworks to protect AI-generated content?
Or can our existing copyright laws evolve and adapt to meet these new challenges?
And how do we even define what creativity means in a world where machines are capable of producing works that are often indistinguishable from human-created art?
That's a fundamental question that cuts to the core of what it means to be human.
Right.
To be creative. It's a question that philosophers have been wrestling with for centuries. And now it's becoming more and more urgent as AI technology advances.
It's like AI is forcing us to confront some of the most fundamental questions about who we are and our place in the universe.
I think that's exactly right. And this journey of exploration and discovery is just beginning.
Okay, so we've got a lot to ponder, a lot to discuss.
Oh, we do?
And a lot to figure out as we move forward into this uncharted territory. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they navigate the exciting and sometimes confusing world of AI-assisted art?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in these conversations. AI is a rapidly evolving field, And it's going to take all of us, creators, lawyers, policymakers, and the public,
Right.
to figure out how to harness its power in a way that benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, as always, keep creating, keep exploring, and keep asking those big, juicy questions. And until next time, happy deep diving.